Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. I'm going to go through a 5-issue limited series called New Mutants Forever. It takes place after New Mutants 54. It annoys me, and I will tell you why in just a moment. I have the issues and the trade paperback. I got the trade paperback because it was cheap at my daughter's store. She works at Half Price Books and gets stuff for even cheaper. So I got the trade paperback because it was like $5. And so this is supposed to. I have a playlist. Everything is done in reading order, so I'll make sure that these issues are in there, or this video is in there in the reading order. And we actually just finished up New Mutants 54. So this takes place between New Mutants 54 and New Mutants 55 when Louise Simonson takes over. The thing about it is it's done in the Marvel in which we modernize things. It doesn't really fit, but there we go. This is from 2015. 2016 is when the trade came out, but this is from 2015. So Chris Claremont revisited this era, okay? And so it's called The Fall of Nova Roma. Tom Marzukowski comes back to letter the issue. Now, during this time, he is working on digital lettering, so God bless him. He's not hand lettering anymore. I already have covered issues 53 and 54 of the New Mutants. So here we go. So this is the cover to issue number 1, which is the same as the trade. So number 1 you're going to notice is that the uniforms are absolutely not the same. There is they're completely, I don't know. It's like either Chris Claremont I don't know. Chris Claremont has gone back into the past, and there's just things don't always work very well. So we have Warlock, we have Sunspot, we have Magma, we have Cannonball, we have Mirage, we have Cypher, we have Magic, we have Wolfsbane, and this person with the black hair is Selene, the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club during that time. So the number 1 thing I'm going to complain about is the uniforms. For God's sakes, if this is supposed to take in between, let's not change the uniforms. It doesn't, I don't know, just a thing for me. So, all right. So, again, Chris Claremont's telling us who everybody is. I don't know if that's a misspelling or if it's really, because if it's with 2 R's, it's Mirage. So I believe it's 1 R. I think that's a misspelling here. So, but hey, Marvel doesn't really give a shit nowadays anyway. So, all right. And so he gives us a little bit of exposition here. So, Magneto during this time, I said Magneto, not Magneto. During this time was the White King of the Hellfire Club. We have Sebastian Shaw, and we have the Black Queen Selene and the White Queen Emma Frost. So she knows Magma. Of course, we have the New Mutants. Now, during this time, Warlock and Sunspot were in a group called the Fallen Angels temporarily. The Fallen Angels was I believe a 12-issue limited series, and it had different teenage superheroes in there, so they're in there. And then Karma, who was the last one here, had left to go find her brother, so she left the New Mutants. And so Sebastian saying, "Hey, you should be proud of your students' performance." Uh, and then, of course, if you remember, they had like a competition, and then Emma says, "But of course, my students are better." So Magneto lets everyone know that he's there, sorry, he's there because Storm urged him to do it, even though she doesn't. Storm doesn't like any of them, and it says to set aside the past and work together toward a new and brighter future. Magneto then reminds everyone that he grew up in World War II in the camps. He's Jew, and in the Nazi Germany, and he won't allow that to happen again, and does not want his children, the New Mutants, to go through that ever again. And he says, "I'm not gonna permit allies to engage in their exploitation." And he says, "Do I make myself clear?" Sebastian says, "Crystal." And he prefers to work together for the common purpose as long as he wins in the end. Cypher wants to go home, wants Ileana to teleport everyone back. Ileana agrees, or sorry, Magma agrees. She wants to put herself distance between herself and Selene. They're bitter enemies. She's like, nothing good will come from staying. Mirage says that they're there because Magneto calls the shots. He is the headmaster, and Rain says, Rain is Wolfsbane. She says that Magneto will keep him safe and that she trusts him. And so Danny says to trust him, and Ileana says if things go bad that she'll take them out of there. So a lot back, it's very funny as you follow. It's amazing what they spend the big panels on. And so Karma looks outside and she says, "All right, if something happens to you, they'll do the same." And she's wants to go walking out in Central Park. But then you see that someone is shooting these people, and they also have guns, so we have a shootout. She hears it, the screams, and so Wolfsbane transforms and goes out. Danny says, "Hey, go get a stepping disc," and that's how they teleport. And so she does that, but to teleport, she has to go into limbo first, and then they go in there. So here they make a thing with the new outfits, which has never happened before. So they did it just, I don't know, it's just weird. But here's the thing: in issue 55, Louise Simonson takes over, and they go back to the superhero costumes that they have. So I guess it shouldn't matter. Anyway, they hear rain, so they're gonna go over there. They see that there's some kind of massacre, and Danny's like, "We'll find out later. Let's take down the shooters." And so here we go. We got Cannonball and Magma kind of stopping things. Cypher's complaining about not having any physical powers because his is the languages. So here we go. Still, he's like, these guys are paramilitary, but the New Mutants just kind of beat up everybody. So, well, helps to have powers here. And so after dispatching, they're checking for survivors here. Hela shows up here, and she's here to collect their souls. And then remember that Mirage is supposed to be a Valkyrie. So, and then Rain finds somebody that's alive, and it turns out to be Magma's father. It's weird. They each have a different uniform, or costume. Another thing that's different is Magneto's wearing his classic uniform, which is not one that he was not wearing that during this time. In fact, his classic uniform was inside Asteroid M, which we saw in the oh my goodness gracious, X-Men versus the Avengers. So, all right. So the Hellfire's coming to help. They said what happened. They said they just found even the Hellfire Club looks different. It just all right. So they take the survivors. They're gonna take them to the club, and I like this part here. Celine, can your people secure prisoners? And then she's like, Tessa, make it so. Like she doesn't even. And so they're gonna take him to the Hellfire Club, and then Tessa says, "I would advise against calling the police," which is weird because the police, who wouldn't have heard all those shots in Central Park? So the New Mutants are waiting for Amara, um, and she says that her father is going to be okay, and there's mention about Celine here, which her they obviously don't get along, and she wonders, my father came without warning and in stealth. I just wish he was awake to tell us why. So one of the things is, even though the original story was in 1987 when 53 and 54 came out, um, it's Marvel. We are not keeping things in the 80s. So the kids, Amara asked Doug to help her search the internet. And he says, I didn't think Nova Roma was online because they still live like it is 2,000 years ago. And she says no, but Brazil is, and so is the NOAA, the National something Oceanic Atmospheric. And so they're like, we can maybe access satellite imagery and take a look here and get live feeds. So she wants to see if the Nova Roma is okay here. Then suddenly, these mercenaries come and attack into the Hellfire Club. You see them attacking there. And so Magneto and Sebastian fight them here. But they take him out, which I find difficult. Now, I'm sure that they probably have their helmets work. So the White Queen probably doesn't use her telepathy because she's a very powerful telepath. And I don't know if they don't have metal here. They're taking on Magneto. Magneto's fighting for his students, but here comes Celine, who uses her powers here to get rid of them here, and she saves the Hellfire Club here. But now the same group is after the students. You can see that Magic creates a stepping disc here, and then Hela shows up again. And Rain, by the way, Rain was shot here. And Hela says, "Thy friend has fallen. The time hath come for death to claim her." And of course, Mirage is like, absolutely not. Upstairs, they get Cypher and Magma. Magma is going to try to protect them, but they use some kind of gas here. She says she can't breathe. They knock her out. They grab them, and off they go. They just load them into the helicopter. God, I love comic books. And so Magneto thinks that they should do a mind probe, but then when she tries to establish a link, they all start to tremble, and they all die. And they're like, our adversary apparently believes in tying up loose ends. And then Amara's father says he didn't come to warn her. They used to be married, but thereafter, and so she runs toward Amara here, which I find difficult to believe because it's Celine. But so the New Mutants, she goes up there, sees that they were attacked. The New Mutants tell her that they have a prisoner alive. She wants to interrogate them. So Magic and Cannonball take Celine out. This is Tessa here, dressed like this. It just different because she wasn't dressed like that, but hey, whatever. And so here, they're gonna go to Limbo. Celine uses her powers to absorb life forces, and so she says now she knows she has the answer she seeks. Of course, that leaves him a dead husk. Ileana likes that. Sam doesn't, and he's like, "You two are so alike," and she's like, "That's a compliment." And so they're gonna go get. I guess she's says she's his grandmother, but I don't know. I don't believe so, but I don't know. I thought she was her stepmother. Anyway, so they're gonna go find them, and Sam's like all by herself, and he's like, "Our advantage is a surprise. If we don't, they're gonna be lost." And so we're gonna see what's really happening. So here come Amara and Doug. Now they're in a facility, and you're gonna see the Nazi symbol. Of course, they're like, our leader approaches. So who could lead the Nazis at Marvel? Who is the leader? Well, nobody else, of course, than the Red Skull, who has taken over. He wants to now create a new Reich. And so here we have the reveal, which is actually kind of cool because normally the Red Skull has nothing to do with X-Men lore. So that is pretty cool to bring someone that is really not related to the New Mutants in particular. So thus ends issue number 1. Here is issue. This is Arthur Adams. This could have been a variant, most likely. Um, no, that was issue number 2 here. So we're in Brazil here, and so this is oh my God, Sunspot's mom, and so she's running and running. There's apparently a festival, and there's Magma, Cipher. So all the New Mutants here's fight in the favela. Magic, Cannonball, and the Black Queen. And then here is Warlock. Warlock is the guy here, kind of. He's like he can like turn into somebody, and then this would be Sunspot right here. So, and I think these are just like the characters that are going to be appearing in this issue. I don't think that they're there. And so there's still people are going after his mom, and she's trying to get away from them, but there's too many people here. And she goes, "I need to borrow this." So she takes the cell phone, and even though, like I said, in 1987 there were none, we are not concerning ourselves with that here. So she goes down, makes a call, and calls her son here, and he's like, "I thought you were in Nova Roma," and he says he's in Rochina running, and he says they have found me, and he says, "Warlock, backtrace my mom's signal," and so she kicks this guy. He gets the signal, and um, they're going to help locate her. So they go again. Why don't they just shoot her? Maybe they need her alive. I don't know. And so they need to reach his mom, and so he wants him to combine with him so he can get to the mom, and he's like he's not sure about that because of his thing, but he's done it with Cypher, so he agrees, and so off he goes. Turns into like this is actually pretty badass here. So off they go, and so here they finally shoot her like now, so she falls here. It looks like they shot her in the shoulder here. So that of course enrages a Sunspot here. And so we're gonna have a couple pages where they fight the villains, and our heroes overcome them here. Nothing really to discuss happens in these pages. The writing is just kind of to slow us down here. And so he's like, "Mom," and we need to call the police, and we need to get an ambulance to get her to the hospital. You can see that he's turning back into like a human. So Chris Claremont lets us know that Sunspot comes from a very rich and wealthy family. There's guards at the door. She's resting here. And so he says, who were those people? And she says, there's trouble. Nova Roma is been invaded. It's people enslaved. The dad went up to look for help from the X-Men. Of course, during this time, the X-Men are in Muir Island. Uh, um, and she doesn't know who it is. Of course, we found out that it was the Red Skull. So she gives him this ring. This ring allows people to teleport from the city. He says these villains hold the city hostage. They have to be stopped. And of course, Sunspot looks at Warlock, who gives him a thumbs up and agree. And so we go back to Cypher and Amara, who are in prison. There's another guy in here. He doesn't appear to know English, so of course Cypher knows languages, so he speaks in Latin. The Red Skull is observing this. He says he doesn't know whether Red Skull is there, but he seeks the restoration of someone he calls his Fuhrer. And they're like, why is he there? He said he doesn't know, but perhaps there's something of value. And Cypher's suspecting something. And he's like, why are they specifically after, that they are specifically after Amara here? And of course, here come the prisoners, and they're like, yep, you figured it out. So, and Red Skull says, initially I thought to terminate you as a superfluous loose ends, but now I see that would have been quite premature, dare I say foolish. Now, Red Skull has someone with him. It is not, I don't believe it's his daughter, because his daughter was not the Red Skull during this time. So, I don't know who this is at this moment here, because I haven't read these since they first came out. So, and I just can't remember. So, and so everyone's powerless because of these inhibitor collars. So Magma can't do anything here. But he picks up Cypher. And so he says, you might well be of use to me and to the great cause I champion. But first, some other equally pressing business. He presses a button, and your companions must be introduced to their new reality of their lives. And so he generates like a shocking thing here, and so you can see that they're in pain and they scream here. And so he gives Doug an injection here, and you can see that steam kind of rises from it. All of a sudden, a fire, and he is going to make him into another Red Skull. Well, that's new. All right. And so he is going to lose his flesh, and you can see this here, and he has become enslaved to the Red Skull. You can see here, we will be as one, and the Red Skull smiles. Now, so here is Nova Roma here. I have, as I mentioned, I have a New Mutants playlist. This happened all about issues 7, 8, and 9 of New Mutants. Could be 10 and 11 also in there. Check those out so you can see Magma's origin and everything about Nova Roma. It was the Romans settled their way back, and they live hidden. So it's comic books. We don't argue that. So down there, Sunspot finds the New Mutants, but here's the thing. He's also wearing a new costume, and he didn't go through that portal with magic. So why is he not wearing the classic one? I don't know. Nobody keeps track of these things. I read it and I go, okay, that's wrong. Marvel needs someone like me that says, hey, wait a minute, why is he wearing that? He wasn't in there. So, of course, they all ask why they're there, and so they each explain what happened, and so And so, again, more explanation as to why is everybody there. And suddenly there's an attack, and you see the explosion. Everybody's like, "What the hell?" And here we have Amara, that guy that was in there with them that I didn't bother learning his name, and Cypher, all of them wearing the Red Skulls and the Nazi propaganda. So, all right, issue number 3. We are skedoodling right along here. I'll see if I can speed it up here. So again, we've got New Roma, and they have all been brainwashed by the Red Skull here, and to sacrifice Celine. So, and look at Warlock here. Um, Magma using her powers. That is pretty cool here. And so everyone's down. And look at Cypher here. Oh my goodness, here. He is totally dismantling Celine here. Um, of course, Sunspot doesn't know that this is Cypher. And he can't believe that he has to try to save Celine here. So, does this guy have powers? I don't think he's got powers, but Magma throws like a piece of molten rock on him, and Warlock tries to stop her, but here comes Doug behind him. He gets him here, and look at this, just dismantles everyone. So he's super powerful here, and now Magma's gonna try to melt him. And of course, we know that they survive because hey, we've seen other series with them here, but here comes with the injection here, and he, look at this, gets her in there, and she's like, "Wretched creature, what have you done?" And so he's like, "I have walked this world before your race was fully born. I will not fail. I will not fall to the likes of you." And so she kind of smiles here, and everybody's smiling, and you can see the blood, and they're like, I think she's going to try to absorb him, and it didn't work, and she can't heal herself here, and just says it's still burning here. Magma, of course, thinks that Celine deserves that her outside looks like the inside, and Cypher doesn't like that. He's like, she will look like her master here, and so the Red Skull shows up here, and you can see Cannonball saying, "Hey," to Magic, "Hey, we gotta go and plan our next move here." And then Red Skull's disappointed that that girl that was in there, that Celine killed her, trying to absorb her. So, and he's like, she'll be replaced soon enough. So he doesn't really care about other people here. And so, calls it a mongrel because, of course, he's a Nazi. So he says, "I will not permit you to share my visage, but rest assured an appropriate place will be found for you to serve. Nothing in the world can save you or your friends." So um why are we looking at him? I don't know. I don't remember. And so here comes Limbo, which looks a lot different. And so we see Celine um kind of changing here. So of course they're fighting here because um he doesn't want to kill anybody, and of course Magic's like, "Hey, it's that's life." And so now he's questioning, can we really go against the Red Skull? And so for some reason, I don't know why, whether or not, but she really cares about Amara. For some reason, she really cares about Amara, which was not shown before. She is turning into the Red Skull. She thinks she's gonna die, and she's like, "I would like to go home. I will not go gently to my end, and I will not leave Amara to become a slave." So, all right. And so back in Nova Roma, we're seeing gladiators style fight. You see the Red Skull here, and he's like, eating and drinking well. He goes, the boy does well. He's earning the right to wear my face. Perhaps, my dear Amara, if you prove yourself worthy, I'll consider the same to you. So here's Doug fighting these other people, and he is just dismantling them. And so he claps. Red Skull is really taken by Amara, says, perfection embodied with a truly breathtaking power. I fear the conditioner leaves something to be desired. When the Red Skull makes amorous advances, you should respond in kind. So she does. He keeps looking, so something's up. Either it's not working on him or whatever. So I do find that funny. Hey, I made the moves on you. You need to respond. Okay. And so um he's proud of Doug, and Doug's like, I will do whatever you want. And so, all right. And so they're being watched though. So by whom? We assume that this is most likely Warlock. And so they go into Nova Roma here, and they are there's a patrol coming, so they need to hide. They go into this bar here, and nobody's kind of looking here. Celine knows that she's ready to transform. She's just not able to stop it here. This guy recognizes her. He offers her life, and he's like, she's this is a different Celine. So you do me honor with your sacrifice, old friend. By the gods, I vow to prove myself worthy of it. So she kisses him. He takes her life and restores her, and she says, "You will be avenged. You're the one that killed him." So, and so Warlock continues examining everybody here. He's not taking this well, and somehow, um, Doug reverts his body or his mind back to. He's like, "What's happening?" So he realizes everything that happened here. Um, and he's like, "Well, my mind's back. I can't do anything about my body here." And so, um, and then Warlock shows up here, and he doesn't know that this is Cypher, or he thinks he killed Cypher. So he's like, "I'm going to kill you." So, all right. So now we go to issue number 4, another cover by Arthur Adams. Beautiful cover here. Arthur Adams, man, awesome stuff here. So, and so he realizes that that's Warlock doesn't know that it's him, but he looks like he's smiling, which he wouldn't be because he is. Um, so he's like, I don't want to tell him outright because he thinks that Red Skull is watching, and the Red Skull is, so he's gonna have to kind of fight here. So here we go. This almost looks Alan Davis. It is not Alan Davis, but it almost looks very Alan Davis ish. So we're having a fight, and we are going to kind of keep going here. The Red Skull is enjoying, and he's like, "Hey, who's a shapeshifter?" He says he's Warlock. He's a new mutant. He's a friend, and look at this. And then he says, "Hey, I prefer to remake you in my image and soul, if not in body." And so she smiles. So he's sort of losing control, but I think they're all sort of realizing, or at least little by little. But Cypher again continues fighting here, remembering the training sessions here. So recognizing the stance, he's like, "Hey, that is Doug." Warlock realizes that's Doug Ramsey here, and so he gives him he fights him inside. He's like, "Sorry about this." So it looks like Cypher is back, and so Magma shows up, and he he's like, your powers no longer affect me. And so, or he says self. So he hits her here and knocks her toward that plant here. And so there's one more punch here, and the soldiers come in, and Warlock gets away, and he orders those people to go protect the Red Skull, and that he'll look after Lady Aquila. And the Red Skull's like, I'm sure you will, dear boy. After all, I created you mind and body and soul in my own image. So he goes, he thinks that um, he wants her for himself here, but of course he's probably needs to undo it. So he keeps pretending, and he's like, I can't believe he's not taking advantage of her. I would have. Um, and so he's saying, "How I'm sure you would have too." So, but he is just, I don't know. I don't think he's it because he's looking at him and then he's looking straight. So, um, what's going on with him? I honestly don't remember. So I will be as shocked as you are when we get to it. So, and so, Warlock's wondering what happened to Cypher. He meets um everybody else here, and or he meets yep, everybody else here, Celine here. And so Cannonball and Ileana are there, and so they're gonna go into Nova Roma, where everybody else still dresses as they did 2,000 years ago, because why not? And so he's like, nobody seems scared of her, and it's because she was always their champion. She's the one that always protected them here when the Spaniards came. It was Celine who dealt with them. And so they're like, they say, hey, there's soldiers coming. And so here come the Red Skulls soldiers. And so they are going to get ready for a fight here. And I love fights because it allows me to just kind of go through and not have to really explain what's going on, because you can definitely see that they take care of it here versus when people are talking. So, all right. Meanwhile, Doug is continuing to have a crisis in in everything, because he's so far. So he's having memories like with Kitty Pride and all that kind of stuff. And so he's thinking of this, and he punches the mirror because and he's like, oh man, the skull may have been watching, but and he was. And he's like, you're gonna, you know, each breath you take, each beat of your heart binds you more and more to me. So Warlock shows up, and he says, hey, I knew it was you. He apologizes, and he's like, we have to do something, but we have to start making plans. So as they're walking through, Tiberius, oh, that was his name, Tiberius grabs them. He says he's also resistant to the skull's things, so they are going to fight together. And so they're gonna go take on the skull. So here they were. The skull's like, he didn't realize till just then that he was only pretending. And so he's gonna try to take on the skull, but the skull's like, ugh, silly boy, you're no match for me. So we're gonna have a quick fight here. The skull is going to take this, or try to take this needle and convert him completely into a mindless slave, but Doug fights him and takes him down, and he's like, no. And he's hit from behind by Magma, and he's like, man, I can't believe that I that I missed that part. And someone grabs it, we're not seeing who, and injects Doug, and you can see, you served your purpose, young hero. Good as you were, your day is done. The future belongs to Tiberius Rex. Now, out of nowhere, he's already got him chained. Or does he have somebody else? But I think that's Doug. And I'm like, how did he chain him so much? So he was a bad guy after all, and Amara is now joining him. So we're going to get down to the final issue, number 5. And so we see Celine, Tiberius, Doug, and Magma on the cover. Cannot believe all this happens in between one issue. Um, so here we go. Most of this issue is going to be fighting. So, just want to warn you that I'm going to go on a tangent at the very end, but we'll wait till the end to go into my tangent here. So, he's like, citizens of Nova Roma, your emperor makes you this offer but once. Yield to the new order, swear me your eternal fealty, and there will be peace within us. Otherwise, there will be no mercy. And so, here we go. Because, of course, we're going to have a fight because, nobody wants to be ruled. Well, we are all technically ruled. That's what politicians are. So, and there are rules in society. So, technically, we do like being ruled, but not like enslaved. And so this guy, Tiberius, is super powerful here. And so basically, he is going to. The New Mutants, you can see that some of the people do fight with him, but, All right. So they shoot, and other people that didn't are already in prison, so I don't know why. But anyway, you can see she's shot in the head, but we know she's not dead, so she must not have been shot like a normal person because she's still alive here. So don't know how that works, but here comes Doug, and they're fighting, and Amara and Ileana. So here comes Warlock, and he's gonna try and do the same thing here. He turns into a tank. It's a little bit bloody of the New Mutants here. And he's going to go find Sunspot here and rescues him. And so now off to fight. And so he lets him go because it's time to rumble here. So we continue here with a lot of fighting, which is kind of cool. It's nice to see these, a Chris Claremont story that involves more than just talking. And so Warlock here was angry here at everything that's sort of have been happening here. So that's why he's... and so now Selene and Tiberius are going to fight. And Tiberius is actually going to win this thing here. And you can see he's super powerful here. But Doug had been faking it again the whole time. So he's good at this faking thing. And so he's going to fight him. And continues to fight. He's like, nope. And so he wins. Amara's back to normal. And he's like, I have the strength, but if I start killing, I don't know if I'll be able to stop. And suddenly you see this plop here, but you don't see anything. You just see this here. Turns out he was shot, and it was the Red Skull here. And he's like, thus falls all traitors. You children have fought well. You have earned your victory. I shall look forward to our next encounter, and I guarantee a different ending, but I don't think that ever happened. And so the Red Skull leaves. So kind of a fixed ending. So then, of course, we see Magma and her dad, and Selene kind of like this makes no sense, but that's all right. There's gonna be something that's gonna throw everybody off, because if you follow this channel and you follow my X-Men all the things, you'll know, especially with what's going on. So here are the New Mutants. They're all like reunited. Everything's good. But we got Wolverine and Storm and Kitty Pryde. Now, keep in mind that this is supposed to be after New Mutants 54. New Mutants 54 is after the Mutant Massacre. And we know that because New Mutants 45 was a Mutant Massacre issue. The X-Men during this time are in Scotland with Moira McTaggart. So let's say we say, hey, they showed up. That's fine. We can do that. What we cannot do is have Storm, Wolverine, and Kitty Pryde here. After all, Kitty Pryde was being phased, so was not able to control her phasing and was disappearing, which is what, for example, X-Men Fantastic Four is all about. Kitty shouldn't be here. What's happening is Chris Claremont cannot remember, and he didn't. What bothers me, and I call this lazy. You wrote these issues. I don't expect you to remember everything you write. What you should do though is go read. If you cannot remember, at least go read what you freaking wrote. I understand he writes a lot, but if you're setting a story up in between a particular piece of time, at least be consistent. Kitty Pryde is coming to check on Doug because that's her best friend. Actually, Ileana's supposed to be, but she is, so she's here to help him, and so it she's not supposed to be here. So I don't understand the reasoning. I just believe Chris Claremont forgot and did not bother going back and reading the issues. Kitty is not supposed to be there. Not if this issue falls between where it was said, which is set right after 54. It's actually in everything is like this takes place between issues 54 and 55. So all this adventure happened. Kitty Pryde should not be here. And so here, Warlock's actually going to help Doug turn him back into human and remove the Red Skull things. And so Doug's there, and here comes Kitty to look to make sure. And here we go. And so we've got Celine reconciling with the dad, and we've got Wolverine, Storm, and friggin' Kitty Pryde, who's not supposed to be there. In fact, the X-Men were out in Scotland. We can eventually they come back to the States. So that's in itself isn't a problem of having Storm and Wolverine. Having her here makes zero sense, and Chris Claremont should have known that, but didn't. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a bother. It's just laziness. So, and then the New Mutants are all happy here, and then it says the end with a question mark. Like, is he gonna revert? Well, he hasn't reverted so far. So, we'll just end it right here with Doug. So we got Cannonball, Sunspot, Wolfsbane, Cypher, Mirage, Ileana, two blondes, and Amara here with Warlock. So this is going to end my New Mutants coverage until Rob Liefeld comes. I really did not follow the New Mutants throughout Louis Simonson's run, and that wasn't really because of Louis Simonson. It was mostly to do with Brett Blevins. His art style just is not meant for New Mutants. In fact, I don't think it's really meant for superhero work, but if he's going to do superhero work, it really does not work on the New Mutants. So this will be it for a while for New Mutants. So New Mutants Forever, 1 through 5, Chris Claremont, Al Rio. I forgot even who drew this thing. So anyway, like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. I now have the complete Chris Claremont era New Mutants available on the playlist. Feel free to check it out. I've got everything from the graphic novel issue 1 all the way through 54, and then this little gem at the very end. Thanks so much for listening. Goodbye.